Okay, every stammerer's worst nightmare. I've got to say my name. Hi, I'm Gemma.
Do you want to go again?
Why?
I mean, because I laughed through it.
No, that's good.
Sorry.
Okay, let's just be natural, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to stammer my way through this. Hi, I'm Gemma.
And hi, I'm Matty.
And welcome to the Stammer podcast, a podcast brought to you by STAMMA, aka the British Stammering Association. This is a brand new podcast all about stammering.
Now, what you're about to hear is what we recorded in February of 2020. In it, Gem and I introduced ourselves. We talked about our childhoods growing up with a stammer and about our then jobs. Then the pandemic hit and the whole world changed, so we put this podcast on hold for a year. On the next episode, we come back to present day and we'll fill you all in about how we've been coping during lockdown. Apologies for the inconsistent quality of audio. It was our first go around and it will be better from here on in. Hope you enjoy.
Enjoy.
So, Gemma, could you just tell me and tell our audience just all about you, just who you are, age, work, just the very, very key points of information.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm Gemma, the thing that I hate to say the most, my name. I'm 24 and I work on the production team for ITV Sport. I live in Kingston with my dad and my cat called Taz. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to me. I've been involved with the BSA for like 4 years and here we are. What about you, Matty?
I'm Matty. I'm 26. I work as the account manager for Street Bikes. We are.
Plug that.
I'm not sure if I can, but I've worked in this role about just over a year now. Live out in the East London with mates and our cat also.
What's your cat's name?
Tiggy. No, Boo. Sorry, no, it's Boo.
You just got the name of your cat wrong?
Yes, so she's had like 4 different names.
Oh, right, okay.
In about a year we've had her.
I was going to say, that's dreadful.
But at the moment, Boo.
Boo.
My job is quite difficult to explain on here. We're a startup. We work in street food. We're an agency, a third party for street food.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
It's incredible that as a person who stammers, my worst nightmare is to stand in front of a room and pitch any kind of sales pitch or presentation, and that's what
I'm
you do.
very much on the other side of that.
But then you do it as a job, though.
Yeah, but sort of far less so than my co-founder. I look at him doing it occasionally. I think I would melt up there.
Yeah, same.
It's a whole new level, man.
It actually is. I couldn't think of anything worse. Yeah, oh my God, they're doing a sales pitch. Get me out of there right now.
So tell me and tell our audience about your role and your job.
I work in the worst industry in the world, which is the TV industry. Oh. I work for ITV Sport on the production team. I just like to say that I do enjoy my job. Not trying to
disclaimer, guys. Yeah, please don't fire me.
Yeah, not trying to get fired, please. But it's a tough industry, especially as a person who stammers.
Yeah, I mean, how does it impact your working life, your day-to-day work?
It's difficult because you're always jumping around, and I just did the Brit Awards this week, which is I was self-employed for that, if that makes sense. It was separate to my full-time job, and I just dread. I have to go into a truck, a whole team of people that you don't know, and again go through the whole.
A truck to do what? Just hang out.
Just making teas, drinks. That's not my full-time job, but it's a side thing that I was doing just to
your full-time job, don't I?
just making teas, you know. But it's difficult just to introduce yourself. That's my number one fear still. As much as I've got to a comfortable place, say my name, oh my God, like it was painful. And I had to explain to every single person because they were just staring at me. I was trying to get my name out.
And how do people handle that? Are people accepting of it, or are they a bit like,
I think people are
wasting?
I think they want to naturally make the moment less uncomfortable for me, so there's like a joke involved, and I think I used to take that really badly, to be like, oh my god, they're laughing at my stammer, and now I take that in a way of like, it's fine, like we're trying to not make the moment so uncomfortable. Do you have a specific moment in your childhood where you realised that you stammered, if that makes sense?
So we are going deep already. We
Absolutely,
are
dive in.
5 minutes into this, we're going deep. Please don't cry for me, but I genuinely cannot remember a time when I didn't have a stammer. My first ever sort of encounter with stammering was my teacher, who I won't name.
Name and shame.
No,
name and shame them.
She called my parents in, who also I'm not going to name, and in a fairly subtle, I hope, way, asked if things were okay at home, asked if anything would have happened.
Wow.
So, no, I have never known pure fluency.
But the way that was approached, as though, please, to your mum and dad, please come in, there's a problem with your kid. Like the way that was all framed.
It was a problem.
Absolutely. And how awful for you, your mum and dad. And I'm not trying to name and shame the teacher. Yes, I am. But
You can't do that.
But, well, I think it's a wider problem. I'm not blaming the individual, but it's a wider problem in society where it's seen as a problem with you. But how were your parents around that?
So my parents were just worried, I think. They were just concerned that that there were kids at school who were affecting me, were trying to bully me, and that it was drawn from that. I think that your point about it being viewed as an issue, about it being viewed as a problem is so valid, and is something that I would really like us to dig into on a later episode, because so much of this is about the way that we think about our own fluency and the way that we think about our own self. There's been such a huge trend towards mental health awareness, and even something such as viewing a child with a speech impediment as a problem to be solved plays a part in that, of course. Again, frankly, we do not have the time to dig into this now on this first episode, but we certainly will come back to these sorts of topics.
Absolutely. So would you say your parents were supportive of that? Did they?
My parents have been great to me.
Really?
Always. They've dragged me through therapy. I've been to so many therapists. I would like to take this platform as an opportunity to apologise to my first ever speech therapist, but just to apologise for being just an awful child. I'm trying really hard to not swear.
I'm sure you were. Matty, you're the nicest person.
I absolutely was. I used to just run out of class screaming, class of therapy screaming, because I just didn't want to be treated just as if I was ill, as if I was sick. Like I didn't want to sort of accept the fact that I had a stammer. I used to go to bed every single night just wishing I'd wake up and it would just be gone in the morning. And me having to go to this external source, having to go to somewhere, having to go to a room, I think it was in a hospital, to get speech therapy from someone who I now realise was so kind and so sweet and so patient and genuinely really wanted to help me. And I want to apologise for just being awful.
But you were a child.
I know,
you didn't know. I actually feel emotional. But you were a child. Like you had only a limited understanding, and it sounds like from your experiences it would already been like I said, framed as though there was something wrong with you. So that's a normal reaction to have, and I'm sure as a therapist she would have understand. But hopefully, if she's out there, Matty is apologising.
I'm very, very sorry.
Wow.
8-year-old Matty feels extremely bad about how he's behaved.
But it's funny that there's two sides to that then. There's parents that have maybe neglected their parents' stammer, aka mine, or there's your parents.
We will come on to that. Hold up.
Just want to shame them. No, I'm kidding.
Well, let's cover that now.
No, let's stick to you. I like this. My time will come. But then there's also a side to it, like you said, where your parents were so involved and so supportive and took you to all these things, and it gave you a bit of a complex, as though there's something wrong with me.
So my parents were social workers, and so were used to dealing with children in challenging positions and parents, or just situations that were related to children in positions that were hard to deal with. And so me having this stammer was a breeze. And I'm sure that there was a part of them then who thought, okay, well, you do need to get over it. But ultimately, it's really, really, really hard at that age to feel like an outsider and to feel different and to have to go to what is treatment, essentially. But I am so glad that I went to therapy. I've done so many different sort of stints of therapy. I remember coming back from Glastonbury 2007 and going straight from the coach station to speech therapy.
So you turned up to speech therapy still hungover, I'm guessing?
I was like 17, and underage drinking is a crime that we all frown upon. But what I was extremely smelly.
Do you want to apologise to that speech therapist too?
Also, yes, I would like to formally apologise for that. But I remember going to that and, oh no. But look, but that helped me, and that was the first time that I ever acknowledged to my friends that I was going to therapy for this, as I had to sit on the couch for like, hey, so I'm not coming home or whatever, like I'm going to speech therapy.
Wow.
And I'm like, good, nice. And I have really only ever received support and positive responses from family, from friends, and that's great. And I wouldn't be the person that I am now without them. Between the support from friends and family and therapy, it has made me the slight person I am now. Just as a aside, you may or may not have heard a slight tapping sound. That is an incidental sort of quirk of stammering. It's just a tick, I guess. So either you will just zone that out because of just overexposure to it, or I'll just tie my hands up.
We might suddenly sound a bit different because we actually adjusted the level of the mic so you can actually hear us now. And also I feel like I should disclose that I feel like I'm not stammering, but I do have a stammer, I promise you. I'm not a fraud. Anyway, let's get back to it. Matty, do you think you've developed any particular traits because of you stammer? Because of you stammer? Because you stammer. Could be positive, could be not so positive.
Yeah, I do. I have one each. I only have 2 traits to my entire personality, but they're both as a result of my stammering. So the first, patience. I find that I'm infinitely more patient with everybody, whether they are fluent, if they have speech impediments such as me, or they're just anyone at all. This can manifest itself in if someone is being unpleasant, I am of the mind to let that go in a way that I probably shouldn't be doing. But it's brought me an ability to be kind and to be pleasant to people, and I just find I'm open-minded, and I love hearing about people, and I love getting to know people, and you are going to find that out because I am going to bombard you with questions because I just love chatting.
I'm so happy that you said "ard" at the end of it, because it sounded like I'm just going to bomb you.
No, that's just not at all acceptable. But the negativity, but the other side of this is I do have this fear of silence. Like I am incapable of acknowledging that silence can exist without it being awkward.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, do you feel that?
Totally agree with you.
And I find that the amount of nonsense that I'm prone to talking, because I have a finite amount of interesting thoughts to say. Once those are done, who knows?
Do you think
whatever? It's
funny that you mentioned that you don't like any forms of silence. Hey, I stammered. Yes.
Get it?
Do you think that's worse when you meet someone you've never met before? Do you think it's worse?
I find that it actually makes those scenarios easier because my way to get around silence, like any awkwardness there, is just to pester them with questions. Find out everything that I know about them because they ultimately are a blank canvas of things for me to talk about, of conversations. It's with someone who knows me really, really, really well, who the silence shouldn't be awkward. It's in those scenarios. Genuinely just do not shut up.
That's interesting. It's interesting that you're the same as me, and I hate when I stammer with somebody who's new that I haven't met before, and there's a silence, and then I'm thinking, oh god, they are thinking what the heck is wrong with her, and then I'm overthinking things, and it's so awkward, and people don't really think it, but I find that difficult with someone that I don't know. I find that really hard. Okay, cool. Well, do you have any times where somebody has surprised you with a reaction to your stammer? It could be good, it could be again not so good.
I mean, as I've aged and as I've grown and matured, I find that I'm more open to coming out and saying that I have a stammer. And the responses of actual grown-ups are so much more mature, and I guess I'm like, cool, fine, all good. It's when it's dealing well. It's when you deal with younger people who either haven't really experienced stammering, haven't really encountered someone who stammers before, or just is not emotionally mature enough to deal with it, and then it does sort of flash me back to being in primary school and being laughed at. But I mean, that now I can just shrug off.
Really?
But it's taken 25 years to get to the point where I'm able to do that. But my favourite types of encounters within the stammering sort of world is when I run into other stammerers who I didn't know have a stammer, and I hear them stammer, and they hear me, and often it's just an unspoken word. Nice.
Cool, bro.
You know, right?
You stammer, I stammer. Let's be friends.
I so rarely, it isn't ever really aired between us, but I always feel a level of solidarity with said person. And I have no evidence to prove this, but I hope that they're also like...
Imagine if that was just you there and the other person was like, sorry, what? Well, I don't know what's going on here. I'm not your friend.
please don't kill this for me. Please,
I'm your only
please
Stammer
don't.
friend, Matty. I don't have any other friends. Lastly, what made you want to do this podcast?
I absolutely love podcasts, but I was always looking for something that I can relate to. I listen to them about sports or just tech or other things. I haven't, but I am curious about. Like, I want to expand my knowledge, but I also wanted something that I feel a bit more of an attachment to. And I found podcasts that cover stammering before, but I wanted to do my own, and I feel like I'm in a position now where I'm able to talk about it.
That's really interesting that you said that you always felt there was nothing for you.
Yeah.
Like, I think all stammerers can relate to that we all look at things in the media and pop culture, especially podcasting, which is solely based on your audio. It's something that we see as something that we can't do because of our stammers.
Exactly. I feel as if I've just spoken for the last 2 days of my life.
have.
So
it's been exhausting.
let's change tacks. Let's talk about you, Gemma.
Okay.
Wow. So you work in the telly box.
Yeah.
In the worst industry in the whole world.
The devil's industry, we like to call it.
What makes it so rough? What's so bad about
I
it?
think it's just because people have an idea of it, that it's glamorous, it's a certain way, and it's, of course, like anything, it's stressful, it's very fast paced.
Yeah, of course.
And with a stammer, that's quite difficult to keep up. And when you get stressed, and when
fast paced environment.
Yeah, and you're like constantly trying to keep up.
So
I don't really know what my point was there.
That's fine. Good.
Right.
I am aware that this is a question that I'm sure you've been asked many times, but I am going to put a stammering sort of twist on it.
Ooh.
Who is the most famous person you've ever stammered in front of?
Oh, that's a good one.
Bring it.
I'm trying to think of the most famous person I've ever met. Do you know Ed Chamberlain?
They.
You should say yes, because he's actually like the main host of the racing.
Oh yeah.
I would probably stammered a fair amount of
Fair
time in
amount,
front of
okay.
him, and he's never said. He's like the loveliest guy in the world.
Props to Ed.
So yeah, props to Ed. Thanks, Ed. He probably doesn't even know I have a stammer, so here we go.
Yeah.
That's probably the most famous person. I really don't like to speak to anyone famous. Really like try to, just try and stay out their way. If that's it. Because I'm scared. I'm worried that it's already awkward when you meet someone who's famous, and then you have to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And then they're already like, this is weird because I'm famous, and you're excited. I can tell that you're awkward about it. And then when you stammer, they're like, sorry, what?
Say what?
In fact, there was a few times when I worked on BT Sport, I stammered in front of Mark Pugach.
Oh, Pugach.
Yeah. And he was lovely, to be fair. Absolutely.
Mark Pugach is known as being a really nice man.
He is.
Really lovely
He
man.
is. He's like the main presenter we have for ITV Sport. But he genuinely was lovely.
So how did you get into this role, into this career?
I worked at Wimbledon for a few years on the broadcast team, and the day before I was about to start, which was 3 years ago, it was the worst night of my life because I knew I was going to have to come in.
Tell us more about this in excruciating
detail. Oh my god.
Please.
I just knew that it would be a whole new team, like TV is all the time. Everyone's very loud and out there. And I knew I'd not only have my first job ever in the TV industry, I'd also have to introduce myself, which is the worst thing.
It is terrifying.
Ever. So what I do, because I just literally, I still do this to this day, somebody will say, hi, I'm Bob, blah, blah, and I just go, nice to meet you.
Oh.
That's what I do. I don't actually say my name back.
Yeah, you never like extend that
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
And then I rely on that people are quite self-absorbed in the TV industry, that they don't give a crap. And sometimes they do, and I like them for that, but I also hate them because I'm like, great, you have to make me say my freaking name.
So tell me about your life outside of work and outside of a podcast.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I don't have a life outside of my work. I don't know. Well, I feel like there was a time when I was very involved with the BSA and I'd go to support groups, or I was maybe giving a speech or doing something. Probably I've given a speech like once in my life. And I feel like it's died down a bit and I've got kind of sucked into my new job.
Yeah.
So this for me is extremely good because it's something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Having that outlet to talk about stuff I care about, rather than not saying that my job is not important, but to me it's not life or death. Even though it can feel like it, but this to me
certainly death.
Yeah, certainly death. This to me is life and death. But it's not. It's about wanting to change the narrative around stammering and branch out and help people who might not feel like they can speak out or be loud and proud and be who they want to be because of their stammer, you know.
Okay, and so let's dig into this narrative, to this idea of what do you think is the narrative of stammering, and have you found that has played out in your past, well, just in your life, in your childhood, in adulthood?
I've always found it difficult because I feel like I have an inner conflict between the way that stammerers in the film industry especially have been portrayed in extremely like as quiet, meek characters who are like the butt of the joke. And I've always felt like the opposite to that. Like I'm quite not confident, I guess. I'm confident in what people would see me as. I don't feel like I am, but like quite loud, I guess. Just wanting to have fun and be so sociable. And I've always felt like I don't fit in with the stereotype of what stammering is. And I still felt like that when I met other people who stammered because, and it's good. I'm not saying everyone has to be loud and proud. That would be like the worst world in the worst world if everybody was like me. But I also felt like I really don't. Thanks, Matty. But I also feel like I really don't fit in here. And of course, of the majority of people who stammer are men. So I again felt like there's not really like a avenue for me. I really am. I want to be funny. I want to perform as well. I acted for most of my life, and I felt like it was a constant conflict with who I was. And for a long time.
How was that? But how was you being on stage?
It was literally like awful.
Was it? Because it does sound terrible.
Yeah, I can tell you so many bad experiences of stammering on stage.
Like for the entire day.
Oh my god! I can tell you the worst experience I had was I wrote a play in year 10. No, it was for year 11 GCSEs about the same.
16.
Maybe I was 17. You 17 when you do your GCSEs? And I wrote a play about the Salem witch trials, because obviously, of course you do.
Okay.
And I was playing the main guy who is like a witch hunter called Heinrich Kramer. He was actually a real guy. I wrote the play about, and we'd rehearse. It was all good. Well, you know, you always are in those groups of people that don't care, and you're the only one that cares. It's exactly what it was like, especially that I wrote it. So I was like, this is my baby. And then we're watching everyone else perform, and then I slowly start to clock that people are getting up, and before they're performing, they have to stand in a row on stage and not only introduce themselves, but introduce the character that they're going to be playing to a camera as well as the audience. And I remember being absolutely in my worst state. I didn't know about it then, but I was having a panic attack for sure. I was literally like, and I was trying to say my name. You know, when you do that, I still do it, like, Gemma. And I'm like, whisper it, you know, shout it, say it in an accent, you know. And then it came to our, shout it, yeah, Gemma. It came to our group to be on stage. And I was first, And of course, I stammered on my name.
Yeah.
And the whole
Classic.
audience erupted with laughter because it was like, I'd forgotten my
16
name.
years old as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, these people must surely have known that you have a stammer, right? Like, were they not your classmates?
No, no one knew. I never spoke about it. Never,
Okay.
ever. Not even with my best friends, not even with my family. So to me, it was something that was there, but I knew it was inside of me, but I never acknowledged what it was. It was just this looming fear.
Wow, because that's fairly recent past for you.
Yeah, I guess. And then I went on to perform. The performance went well, but as soon as it came to the last line and the audience
What
clapped.
was the last line?
I don't know.
Ah.
Kill the witch.
Sounds quality.
That's like an amazing play I wrote.
Have you still got the tape of it?
No, I freaking burned that crap. I've still got the script if you want to. We can act it out, Matty. I'll be the witch, you be the hunter. Anyway,
There we go.
as soon
Let's
as
take this on tour.
yeah, let's make it a big thing
Yeah,
and re-traumatise me over and over again.
Dude.
Yeah, love that.
Social experiment.
I love that.
A traumatizing?
Yeah, re-traumatising. I love that.
Audio traumatizing.
Mhm.
Okay, and so
Can I quickly say the last bit
Continue,
because it's the
sorry,
most
continue.
depressing thing, and you all want to hear it. I know it.
yeah, absolutely. The only reason that we're here.
Yeah, to hear about my childhood trauma.
Yeah, I mean,
As soon as the audience clapped and all my group started to take a bow for my work, I literally didn't even stay on that stage for a second
Really?
to bow. I
Just gone.
ran off and I was having a panic attack. I was crying, and a few of my friends saw me run out, so they came out after me, and it came out in that way, in my worst state, which is how I deal with stuff. I just bury it for years and years, and it comes out. And I called my mum to be like, well, I stammered and the performance was crap. But in my childhood mind, that was the worst thing. It was acting as what I wanted to do at that point in my life. I'd worked so hard for it to all come crumbling down. So then my mum actually, this was an amazing moment. My mum came down to school and basically wrote, I'm going to write a letter to the examiner and tell them that you have a stammer and they should give you an A star, which they did do, receiving my mum's note and her explaining. But it was so much trauma and angst. Why did the school, not talk to me about it? Why did I not talk about it? Why did my parents not broach it? And then none of this would have happened. And that's what keeps me awake at night sometimes, thinking about other kids going through that, because I think it's such a simple thing now.
yeah,
And it hurts,
isn't it? It's brutal.
Yeah, it is. It's painful.
But it sounds great, it's great that you did receive an A star for that, and but
Thank
then
you,
took
Matty.
your stammering
Thank you.
into account.
Yeah.
I used to be given extra time in exams
Really?
on account of my stammer.
That's how it should be.
It is, but I mean, like it's written. I'm gonna sit there.
I think that you're like stammering through
Okay,
writing.
so if he's just going to write the same way he speaks, he's just going to write 4 versions of every word. Sit there just for 4 hours.
Oh my god, you trying to get through one word as you're writing.
Luckily for me, crap at exams, write really, really slowly. So I used that extra half an hour.
There we
But
go.
I was never happy about it.
There are perks to everything if you look hard
Always.
enough.
So we've touched on this a couple of times already, and it already feels like it's a bit of a sore topic for you.
It's so
But
sore. Ow.
let's talk family.
Oh yes.
I mean,
I love my family.
The time is now,
Yeah.
Did
Absolutely.
you have a good relationship with family? Have you got brothers or sisters? Have they got stammering? How did your development of a stammer affect them?
I have an older brother. He's 26. I feel like it just, again, like, it was such a typical, like, British thing to do, just not talk about stuff growing up.
Home is where for you?
Southeast London.
Okay.
Near Penge, if anyone knows. Penge, Reppin.
Reppin Penge. Like Stonehenge? No.
No, what? Stonehenge?
I've never heard of Penge.
Yeah.
I'm
okay,
very
Penge
sorry.
is near Bromley. Penge
Okay, nice, yeah.
Bromley.
Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like it really wasn't talked about much growing up. I feel like it was very much swept under the rug. My dad is very typical in that he doesn't like to talk about his feelings, and it can all kind of erupt at certain points. I really hope he's not listening. Shout out to Dad. But there's nothing, I've made peace with that now. But at the time, as a child, struggling so much with this inner conflict and nobody ever naming what was wrong with me. Like, I remember I was probably about 8 and my mum was driving me home from school. And I turned to her and I remember saying to her, Mum, like, why can't I speak like everybody else? And I look back on that and think, oh my God, that's so
heartbreaking question.
Deep. And she was just like, you'll grow out of it. And I was like, really, Mum? Because I'm freaking 24. still stammering. But it's all those myths that we have to break down. And I feel like my family, extremely vocal, as you can imagine, extremely vocal about their opinions, quite quick-tempered sometimes. Yeah. So in debates, it was always very difficult for me to voice my opinion, and I still get that now. The more and more worked up I get and passionate, the harder it is for me to speak. And I think my brother used to take that as a you can't get your opinions across well, and that still triggers me. Like when my mum will sometimes say to me, you're not expressing yourself well, you're just angry or upset, and that's triggering. So I'm like, yeah, I can't express myself. I'm trying, but I can't. But we've definitely, since I got speech therapy at the age of 21, that was the first time I ever spoke about my stammer, ever. And to be honest, that was down to my dad. He pushed me to do that. So again, shout out, that's a good thing.
How did that then?
It got to such a point.
Like, did something change that he pushed you to do that? Or does that seem to come out of nowhere?
I think when I finished university, which was the worst place on earth to be on a drama degree.
Let's absolutely talk about the struggles of university.
Yeah, dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
That is a full episode itself.
Yeah. I came out of university and I was quite depressed, and I really wasn't doing anything with my life. I was working in a pub and I was, it was absolutely crap. And then my dad was like, why aren't you going for what you want to do? You've always wanted to work in TV or theatre or perform. And I just knew, it was this thing I'd been harbouring for such a long time. I knew it was down to my stammer. And then I was like, well, why don't you go and get help, And then I reached out, I just typed in speech therapy online and I met the best speech therapist of all time, like the most amazing person ever. And I was seeing her every week for about a year, and I probably cried every week for a year to her. And that eventually, we talked through everything. We digested everything, every bad experience, every issue in the relationships I had with my parents and my family about my stammering, the relationship I had with myself. And it totally changed my life. And eventually I got into a career I wanted to do, and it just went on from there. But
And so would you say that there's a part of you that is glad that your parents behaved in the way that they did, or that you wish that the action that your dad encouraged you to make, if that had happened 15 years prior, then you'd be a different person?
Absolutely, yeah. I always think about how different things would have been if they were more open to the conversation, and the times that I tried to reach out, and then they shut me down. That's so painful as a child, to want to be vulnerable enough to speak about something that you know is wrong with you. Not wrong with you, I shouldn't say that. Something that you know that you need to talk about, and then being shut down. And that happened at school a lot with teachers. I would say, can I have extra time, or blah, blah, blah. And they would just completely shut me down, as though,
Really?
Gemma, you're fluent. I don't understand because you're talking fluently now. You know, it's a complete misunderstanding. However, you're so right. I wouldn't be here today so passionate about this if it had been different for me. And I do want to say that me and my mum have had talks since. You know, I absolutely love her. I think she's the most amazing person. And she's later said, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't have the information. I thought it would go away as you grew up. So again, it's all about what Stammer and the BSA are trying to do, break down these myths and give parents the correct information that they need to support their kids.
Yeah, but we have our own role to play in that, both on this podcast and just outside, and then just how we behave and how we spread the message of Stammer and of the BSA, as it's really, really important.
Absolutely.
Hugely important. Okay, so just one last question for you, because I know that we've gone way, way over time. If you could take a pill that would stop you stammering, would you?
I don't know. No, I'm going to say no. I've had endless debates with other people who stammer about this because they're like, don't lie, I know you would. I wholeheartedly would not, because again, I would not, like you spoke about being empathetic and patient. I feel like I wouldn't be that person.
Yeah.
The great person that I am. I'm so empathetic, but it's such a good way to be in this society. No, I was taking the mick out of me.
I know.
Not you. Especially in like recent news, I think how hateful at times the world can be. We need a little love and empathy and stammering. That's it.
So that's no, you wouldn't.
I would. No, I'm kidding. No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
I 100% would not. Just to confirm. What about you, Matty?
No way. I planned my answer to this because I would have loved to. Well, I would have loved to know what my life would have been if I never did stammer, and just I'm so curious about the person I would be without it, but I am happy with who I am now, and I'm glad that I've got to this point whilst having overcome challenges that I have.
Absolutely.
No way.
I'm happy you stammer, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I'd be here alone. Anyway.
I guess we're doing the outro. Exciting, right?
Yeah.
Send us your thoughts, your feedback. Obviously, if you hate it, then send it in like a nice way. We are quite tender.
Yeah. No trolls, please.
No, stay away. The email address is mail@stammer.org. That is Stammer spelled STAMMA. And share us with your friends, with your family, with whoever. We want to be heard by as wide an audience as we can, so shout it. And finally, I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't plug about 1,000 things. So check out Stammer online at stammer.org. You can sign up to be a member there. It will be well worth your time. We are also on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is just at Stammer. This is Stammer with an E. Then on Instagram, we are at Stammer UK. Within the stammer.org site, there is a web chat and a helpline. If you need access to either go to stammer.org for more information.
Or head to the Facebook page, and everybody's talking on there and discussing our good days and our bad days too. So it's definitely a great place for the network that we all need right now. Thanks for listening, and hopefully see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Matty,
Is that better?
Bye.